is Sandra. Welcome to another episode of Asexualise, my asexual life. This is a place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual, and I share my own asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit the great big subscribe button below. Right here, right now, please hit that bell icon so you get notified of every time I go live right now, post a new video, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you find the content useful, helpful, insightful in any way, shape or form. In a moment, we're going to be discussing asexual views on sex, asexual perspectives, which is all to celebrate APAM. If you didn't know what that is, it's Asexual Perspectives Awareness Month, which is this month, which is what I founded in 2017 when I published my Asexual Perspectives book. So I'll be revealing some asexual perspectives, views on sex in this book in a few moments. So yeah, if you don't know who I am Sandra, author of this book, and I've also got another book that I'm writing at the moment called Asexual Guide to Sex, which is my second book for asexuals. I'm also the founder of Asexualise Academy and the founder of Asexualise.com. 100% beef, yes, you was wondering about this, right? 100% beef. It's lovely to see you again. Lots of love. Yeah. So I've got my book with me, so I will be reading from it. The link is down below in the description if you want to get a copy yourself. But to give you some excerpts out of it, this is, I've prepared my little bookmarks. Oh, thanks for the thumbs up. It's really kind of you. So yes, this is very, very interesting. Right, so this is Zoe's story. Page 157 if you already got a copy. What is your view about sex? Have you had sex before, and if so, how did it make you feel? If you haven't, would you? So this is what Zoe had to say. I have had sex with men. I think I hate sex because I was emotionally coerced into having it. I never enjoyed a man's body. Too sweaty, stinky, hairy, ugly. Sex was never something I wanted, but I grew up with the message that you have to give a man sex as much as he wants and any kind he wants if you want to keep him. And of course you don't want to have a man because no woman wants to be a spinster, an old maid. Oh, and of course you want to have a man. I read this, don't want to have a man. That's really funny. Of course you don't want, of course, I can't even say you, after all that she said, I can't even presume Zoe's a she, but it doesn't say their gender. So after all Zoe said, my mind is just thinking about not wanting a man. And of course you want to have a man because no one wants to be a spinster, an old maid. So they're both basically saying that that's what they've been brought up like. Aside, what a bunch of horse shit. that a woman is nothing without a man is a horrible message to drill into young girls' heads, and I 100% agree with Zoe on that. Sex made me feel used, like I put my body through something that was unnatural. So I really want to discuss this because if you didn't know my personal story, I was told exactly that by a counsellor, that I must have sex in order to keep a good guy. And obviously this was a professional counsellor, part of the NHS, which is the National Health Service in the UK. They're professionally qualified and trained. And, you know, that's what the counsellor said to me, because I told her that I loved romance and kissing, but I didn't want sex in a relationship and I didn't know what to do anymore. I was giving up hope on dating, you know, like I was going to be on my own forever. And I went to her with the hope she'd have some good solutions. But no, instead she told me I'd have to have sex in order to keep a good guy. So I do know that Zoe's story is very much kind of similar, but not, it wasn't my family that said that at all. It was the counsellor, you know. My family have been, my parents have been supportive of my asexuality. 100% beef. I'm worried about dating a girl and her wanting sex or she'll leave. Well, you should never be with someone because they want sex out of you. You know, I did that years ago. I had sex with a guy because I thought he'd leave me. When I'd had it, he still left me. You know, at the end of the day, it's best to say that you're asexual before you get into a relationship. And if they want sex and you don't, you can walk away with no hard feelings, no emotional attachment. The problem is when you get into a relationship and you've already like not even said that you're asexual and you haven't established those boundaries that you're not having it if you don't want it, you know, and so then it becomes emotionally upsetting and painful for you. So if she wants sex, let her leave and get someone who doesn't need that from you if you don't want sex, you know, because there's no point in, oh, you're welcome for the advice. There's absolutely no point in to get into a relationship with someone if they want sex and you're sex repulsed asexual. It's never going to work unless you do other sexual acts. That's the only way possibly around it. But you don't want to be having to compromise yourself before you've even got into a relationship. You want to be starting a relationship of how you want it. You want to be finding the right person for you who doesn't want sex, who doesn't need it. If you don't want it, you know, that's the best place to come from. Or it's better to be single. You know, you don't want to stay with someone who can't love you for every bit of who you are because it's not compatible with who they are. You know, it doesn't mean to say they're wrong or that you're wrong, but it's wrong for you to be together if you both want different things and you can't satisfy the other and it makes either of you miserable. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's much better to just be upfront about your asexuality. Say, I'm asexual, you know, it's a sexual orientation that's lack of sexual attraction basically means that I don't want the need, you know, I don't want sex, I don't get the need, urge, or want for partner sexual intercourse. It's not my thing, I'm not into it, you know. So if you want to walk away now, really, you know, I understand completely, you know. Obviously, it's best if we can find someone like ourselves who's on an asexual dating site or who's on ASAP. It isn't always, you know, possible to find another asexual usually in our own city or near where we live. We usually have to travel or move for a relationship. And that is the harsh reality of being asexual. You know, 1% of the population, the likelihood of us finding someone in our city or town or countryside even that's going to be compatible with us, even if they are asexual, is very, very remote. It can happen, but it's less likely to happen. You know, so we have to be thinking either to get someone who's going to move to live near us or get you know, we've got to move to near them. You've got to be prepared for that. Yeah, true. Being honest is good. Yeah, it's really important to be honest. You know, no aces in your towns around you. Yeah, so people have to realise that you have to be thinking long term. Like if you're still at home with your parents, save up some money, you know, to start saving money now so you can sort of afford somewhere to possibly move somewhere. Or have an asexual that wants to move to you. There are certain asexuals that will move. They don't want to stay in the city. They want to go abroad or they want to move out of their town or city. They don't want to stay where they are. Whereas other asexuals like me, who's very fixed. I mean, I live in one of the best places I could have ever chosen for myself. You know, I live diagonally opposite supermarkets. Since the lockdown happened, you know, which is obviously, you know, like eased now. But I know some places still have it going on. But, you know, I've realised that the place I chose for myself to live here has been one of the best decisions I ever made in my entire life. Because literally supermarkets are on my doorstep. I mean, diagonally opposite where I live, you know, and I've got the quayside, which is 5 minutes walk from where I live. So I've got my little bit of countryside as well, which you can social distance very easily there most of the time if you're not going around the pubs that are on the actual waterfront there. If you're going in the fields, you can, you know, you saw probably my video. Thanks for the thumbs up. Lots of love. One of my videos recently where I was in big fields and these cows were coming. Well, they weren't coming at me, luckily. They were just like bigger than me. But you know, I chose a really good place for me to live. So I don't, you know, it's not beneficial for me to move out of where I live. The flat's beautiful here. Got lovely people in the house. I live in the middle of a house in a flat, which to me is normal, but to anyone else it might seem weird. But I've lived here for like long time of my life, you know, and I love it here and it's just beautiful. And so I don't want to move, so I've got to find someone who wants to move to live near me, or I've got a plan if I ever do want to move. It probably wouldn't be for years and years to come. But hopefully I can find someone who eventually moves to live near me, you know, but you don't know what's going to happen in the future. I mean, I rent, so I'm not going to be able to stay here forever and ever and ever and ever. Amen. I wish I could. But, you know, eventually, you know, something's going to happen, isn't it? So I'm just very grateful and thankful for where I live now, because a lot of people that are trying to move homes, they're trying to look now for homes that are nearer supermarkets, that are, where supermarkets like me are on their doorstep. They don't have to use public transport, they can walk places. So I'm truly blessed. So don't forget, in your life, you've got to think about yourself as well as your future partner. But you've got to be honest. If you cannot be honest about your asexuality, what else are you going to have to hide in that relationship? What else are you going to have to keep secret? If they leave and don't value you without sex and you don't want it, let them go, let them walk away. But know that it's far better to establish that first up front. One of the worst things people do in a potential relationship, over and over again, every different type of sexual orientation does this, is they do not establish the big deal breakers at the beginning. Right? Because they get a little bit emotionally attached and they worry that person will leave them. So therefore, they're not being completely upfront and honest. Loads of different sexual orientations do this. Heterosexuals do this as well, right? It's much better to be very blunt and very open and honest and say, look, these are deal breakers for me. My deal breakers is I don't want sex, I don't want marriage, and I don't want kids. And actually, I don't want to live with someone either, because I love living on my own. I'm very settled on my own. Those are really, the deal breakers for me. Especially children. I haven't wanted since I was 15. I mean, that's just ludicrous idea to me, for me personally, not for other people. So I have to be very upfront. And some guys who are younger that I like, they haven't even made their mind up whether they want kids or not. This includes asexuals, 100% beef, just never had sex. So wondering if I'm grey ace and can have sex, so it's not a problem. Well, again, 100% beef. You also have to ask yourself, how often would you like sex? Because sexual appetites vary. So just say you're a grey ace, it doesn't mean to say you're necessarily going to want sex as much as a full straight heterosexual, for example, would. So even if you are asexual, you have to then come to, you have to find out if you do like sex or not mind it. If you do, that's fine, and that means you've got more options. But also, you've got to understand, how many times do you want sex? Because in my experience, the majority, not all, but a majority of asexuals don't tend to want sex as much as the traditional heterosexual person would. Hi, Megan. Hello, Sandra. Just drop in to say hi. It's always lovely to see you, Megan. So, someone who's demisexual grey ace will be more likely to not mind having sex. But, the only way you know that is if you've ever, with the grey ace, is if you've ever experienced the sexual attraction. Obviously, you can get sex positive asexuals as well. But you were worried about the fact a girl may leave you, if she wants sex. So if you are worried about her leaving you, if you were dating her and she wants sex, that means that you're not keen on having sex, because otherwise you wouldn't be worried about it. Do you see where I'm coming from? Thanks for the thumbs up. Oh, hi, Sam. Lots of love. Lovely to see you. Yeah, so you've got to understand, 100% beef. When you said I'm worried about dating a girl and her wanting sex, you've got to understand that in your mind at the moment, you're worried about it because you're not sure you like sex. You're not sure you want it. Do not start pushing yourself to want, like, and need sex just because you want to have a relationship. Got to be true to me. Exactly. Even me, sometimes I think, Sandra, is there any way, shape or form you could have sex in the future? Because if you could, it'd open up a whole world of other people to you, like guys, because I'm not interested in women in that way. And then I'm thinking, at the moment, I definitely say no. And I can't see me doing that again. And even if I ever did do that again, it wouldn't be very, very often at all, because I thought about it when I was in a heterosexual relationship, and I thought the most amount of times I'd actually want it, if I'm thinking about wanting it, was once every 3 months, which is 4 times a year. I don't think many heterosexuals are going to be up for having sex just 4 times a year, right? That was like me pushing myself. So I don't think it would work somehow. Do you know what I mean? And I'd rather not be doing that type of thing, to be honest with you. But I do think about it because I've been in sexual relationships before. So it's not like I couldn't do it if I wanted to, but I don't have any will, any want, any inclination to. I don't physically want to do that. And usually it makes me very nervous and anxious if I actually thought about it seriously, because it's something that I really can't do anymore. everything stops me from doing it. You know, all my body just like won't do anything. It could probably do a lot of things, but just wouldn't be able to do that, you know. So yeah, 100% beef. I think it's very important to be true to who you are, you know. I mean, any of us can change, right? Any person who is asexual could find out at a later date they're grey ace or demisexual, because the grey asexual only tends to experience sexual attraction under limited, rare or specific circumstances. Now, or not enough to want to act on it. So you experience it, but not enough to want to act on it. Now, you would know if you experience it, but not enough to want to act on it. But it's always possible that an asexual can find later on that they do experience it, you know, like with maybe one person in their life, 3 or 4 people in their life. But, you know, I've not experienced sexual attraction. So I've experienced high levels of arousal, which I can get, and I can feel what it feels like from the sexual person giving me sexual attraction. I can feel their sexual energy, so kind of know what it feels like coming from someone else, even though I don't experience it myself, back to them. And, you know, some people can find out they're actually demisexual because they might just meet that one person they form that really deep emotional connection from that makes them feel sexual attraction. I can't believe I would actually ever feel that way. I've tested myself when I've dated heterosexuals. I'm like, am I experiencing any sexual attraction? No. Are you sure? Yep. No, just not feeling anything like that. You know, I just like the kissing. And so, yeah, please be true to who you are, because, you know, a lot of sexuals will leave people if they don't have sex with them. But it's much better to be upfront about it in the beginning, then you know that you're not going to get emotionally attached to them. Yeah, I got arousal when someone said about having sex, but I didn't really want to have sex with her. Yeah, you're probably a bit like me then, 100% beef. I mean, my body does weird things. Like, I don't really want it to do this type of thing. And, you know, arousal is very interesting, especially when you don't want sex, but you get arousal. It's kind of really weird. Like for me, my body, oh, hi, my life. Lots of love to you. Kind of like, with my body, it does weird things sometimes. I'm like, you know, it gets aroused over things I don't want it to get aroused. Like with, 100% beef. I'm glad that's normal being an ace. Yeah, 100% beef. Yeah, it's not well spoken about really, in great detail, right? But it is normal for some asexuals to get aroused. But, you know, like when you said about someone saying about having sex, I think that is a little bit less frequent, you know. But I understand you, because if someone sometimes if a mention of word sex, my genitals get aroused, and it's like, you know, it's like, I don't understand when I hate sex. I don't want it, don't need it, don't like it for myself. Why my bits down below do that, you know? It's just kind of like really weird for me. But I wanted to let you know, 100% beef, that I do get that sometimes, you know. I especially get it with kissing, just think about kissing usually. But I'm trying to get a focus on other things at the moment and have some chill time and do other things. I've been doing video editing today for the sales page for the asexual meetup courses that I've had to get back to because I was poorly and couldn't do them. So my life, I'm happy I was born ace. Yeah, it's really, really good. I'm really proud to be asexual as well. Really proud. 100% beef. It was the first time with actual sex mentioned. You're lucky then, right? So I don't know if I mentioned it before, but basically when I first discovered I was asexual, I discovered Asexuality on AVEN, Asexuality Visibility Education Network, as you probably know. And in the forums, lots of asexuals were talking about sex. And that's when I first found out that my body reacts to the word sex, involuntary. It gets aroused sometimes, and I'm like, why is my body doing this when I don't like sex and I hate it? And it made me feel really like freaked out. It really did freak me out. I'm like, it's just weird, you know. It's like, why am I experiencing this when I don't like it? It's just doesn't make sense to me. Surely if you don't like something, your body doesn't want to be aroused towards it. It just seems very weird and bizarre to me. But I've had to get used to it, you know. As an asexual and as a person, you have to accept yourself for who you are, and I do find that difficult sometimes because I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, why am I getting these sensations? But I only realized that I get arousal not sexual attraction after that, because at the beginning I did actually think I was a grey asexual, because I didn't know the difference between arousal and sexual attraction. So for years I thought I was heterosexual. Then when I first came to asexuality, I thought I was a grey asexual, as in I experienced it but not enough to want to act on it. And then when I started having the forums talk about sex and I got this arousal, that's when the penny clicked. So in actual fact, it was a good thing in lots of ways, that I realised, my God, I've never been sexually attracted. I've only ever experienced high levels of arousal, and that's what I mistook for years as sexual attraction. That's why I thought it was heterosexual. So if I hadn't had that experience, even though it freaked me out, it was very weird, and I'm like, why is my body doing stuff? I don't want it to do this. Then, you know, it was actually a very good experience, because I knew, I was clear then. I was clear that everything that had happened before with my ex was not born out of sexual attraction, which was good. My life, I think it's because the body, brain, and soul are all different things. Yeah, 100%. Good point, my life. 100% beef. Oh yeah, that's true, my life. Just a body reaction then, indeed. That's all I was wondering about and struggling with these questions. My life, I have a question that has been on my mind and I can't comprehend it. Okay, my life, if you want to shoot your question in a message, I'm just going to read the next story out while you're doing that, because I'm reading from this book, because it's Happy Asexual Perspectives Awareness Month, by the way, everyone. Celebrating our diversity across the asexual spectrum and our differences within it. I do love this month. Right. So this is Molly's story. Molly, I had sex once and felt uncomfortable most of the time. Some sensual parts were a bit enjoyable, but the good sensations were fleeting. As things continued, I grew more and more annoyed and uncomfortable. I don't want to have sex again until I'm ready to have kids. So it's important to note that some asexuals will have sex for the purpose of kids. I do a newsletter, if you didn't already know, the link is down below in the description, a free newsletter, and one of the guys on my newsletter list, he messaged me back to say him and his wife only ever had sex. They're both asexual, and they only ever had sex literally just to have children, and that was it. They don't have sex anymore. And I think it's important to note that, you know, some asexuals do experience sensual attraction, but as I've said in previous videos, some sexuals will think that some sensual acts are actually sexual, because they'll interpret them differently. So for example, if you touched a sexual person all over their body, they would probably find that quite sexual. Not necessarily, they might still find it sensual, but they could find it quite sexual because they're getting physically, sexually turned on, and to them it's a prequel for sex, for example. Whereas an asexual person could just think this is sensual, it's nice to feel the texture of my partner's skin, that type of thing. Happy Ace Awareness Month. Oh yeah, it's Asexual Perspectives Awareness Month rather than Ace Awareness Month. So because there's different things on the internet, but I founded Asexual Perspectives Awareness Month in 2017 because it was when I published this book, Asexual Perspectives. And so this is a special month that I created, which is different to Asexual Awareness Week or Asexual Awareness Day. So yeah. The link's down below in the description if you want to grab a copy of this, because it does have 47 different stories, including my own. But thank you, 100% Beef. It's really nice. My life. Why does almost the entire population of sexual people think sweat, hot sex, and oil are sexy? I can't understand it. I've only met 4 sexual people that agree that it's weird. Right, okay. So why does almost the entire population of sexual people think sweat, hot sex, and oil are sexy? Oh my god. Some sexuals, do you want me to answer that seriously? My life, I have a card so I can finally buy your books. Oh, that's really good, my life. Yeah, definitely get this one. You will love it. Honestly, it's really eye-opening. Really eye-opening. There's because it celebrates the diversity across the asexual spectrum. You know that it's, you know, like fully basically got all different people's stories all over the asexual spectrum, which is good. You won't, you know, you'll get a nice copy, not like a tattered copy like this. I do actually have I do actually have, like, you know, this is how it'll look when you get it, if you get the printed version, you know, nice and pristine. I keep this one in case I need to do an advert at some point for it. That's why I keep it nice and neat. See, this is a nice fresh copy that I do have. So it's a big book as well, very big book. So yeah, it's really, really good. That's a brand new one. Here's one I made earlier. I asked the question because despite being asexual, my science nerd self likes to learn. I like to learn too, big nerd, says Sam. Oil, says Sam. Right, where are we? Oh, and my life said sensual and romantic all the way. Yeah, I like sensual, but I only like sensual with the guy's upper body. 100% beef, I don't know, I'm ace. Right, okay, so why do they oh god, right, I have to think about this one. Right, so sweat, hot sex, and oil are sexy. Okay, so the sweat, some people actually like the smell of the other person's body. That's one thing. So that could be classed as sensual in terms of senses. They like the smell of someone's body. They like the fact they're sweating because they are making them sexually aroused. So obviously with sexuals, with sex, when they're sweaty, it's kind of like gross to a lot of asexuals, but when they're sweaty, it can mean that you are literally turning them on, you're giving them satisfaction and pleasure. Therefore, it's very sexy because you are fulfilling their sexual needs and desires. So the more sweaty they are, the more they've worked up a sweat, the more you know you're giving them a physical body workout and they're getting satisfied, and that turns the person on even more. It can release pheromones as well, I believe, like hormones and stuff in the sweat. So it makes them more sexually appealing, sexually attractive to some sexuals. Oil, I've never used oil, but I know a girl in my old job years ago. She knew I was asexual, and she's like, why is it you get all the sexual guys interested in you, Sandra, and I get the guys that are not interested in sex with me a lot of the time? I go on these dates and they don't want sex, and you want sex, don't want sex. She wanted sex, I didn't. I ended up getting the guys that were sexual. She ended up getting some guys that weren't wanting sex, right? And she's like, she used to be into candle wax and stuff like that. So when you say oil, sometimes oils can be essential oils, like they can be massage oils for the body. So it depends what type of oil you mean. So if it's massage oil, the smells again can be very romantic. The feeling can be very sensual. It can highlight in the pleasure of the touch because they're putting oil on there. It can make the body nice and soft and smooth. So it's better for stroking, better for caressing and kissing and cuddling. So, you know, but you can, some people put oil as in, I think, hot oil. Well, the girl I knew put hot wax, which is like a BDSM type thing. So you just, when they say oil, just be careful how they mean it. They probably mean like essential oils, like, you know, like massage oils and stuff like that, which is supposed to be very therapeutic. They can give their partner a massage. Obviously, if you've got oils, you know, you're kind of getting hot, dirty, sweaty together. So it's kind of like a very messy sexual act, you know. And some people find the, you know, like, for example, when you're doing oils, you could, if you're female and you're with a guy, the guy could be on his back and you are literally sat on his backside massaging oils into him so he can feel your genitals pushing against his bum at the same time you're oiling. So this is how he could get very turned on, find that very sexy, very sexually stimulating. I know a lot about sex despite the fact I'm asexual. So I know a lot about sexuals and what they like and how they like it and why they like it. I know probably too much, but yeah, so, you know, there's a lot of things that can turn each other on physically. You know, even asexuals can get aroused by some of this stuff because it can, you know, and other asexuals will be just like, this is disgusting. And as I read the first story, you know, that person, Zoe, she thought the guy's body was too hairy, too sweaty, and it was yucky and turned her off, you know. But these are sexuals we're talking about. So, do they let off those pheromone things? You just said that, laugh out loud. Never mind. Me and Sam are thinking the same thing. Liam, hello, beautiful Sandra. Hello, lots of love to you, Liam. Dan, laugh out loud. Oh, I was thinking mechanics, engine oil. Sam was thinking engine oil. But some people might like to get the engine oil out, Sam. But you know, then more if it catches fire, then it's not going to be very good, is it? Sam, that means you're ace. Yeah, Sam's very, very ace. My life, just a visual of those things turns people on, like in commercials, in movies. It's weird. I don't know. Sexual people are weird. Oh, trust me, I know a lot too. Not everything, but Sam, I indeed ace. Thankfully, me too, Sam. Can that other oil catch fire? If you had oil which was like obviously engine oil. But if it's essential oils, they shouldn't be catching fire. No, essential oils are aromatic. Yeah, aroma. I'm saying aromatic. Aroma oils. Aromatherapy oils. I'm saying aromatic oils. Just sounds aromatherapy oils. Oh my gosh. Yeah, some people like fire, exactly. But you know what I mean? You've got to be very careful with stuff like that, you know? So that's why I like fire, but not on people. Exactly. But like I said, it depends if they're into BDSM or not. If they're into BDSM, it could be lots of different types of oils. Like I said, there was a girl I knew, and she was into putting candles, like lighting candles and burning the wax on the guy's body. And apparently he used to, get turned on by that. So I don't personally like that type of thing. My life, fire is pretty, but it burns. Yeah, it's not good. I mean, I use aqueous cream on my body, and that is highly flammable. I can't, I have to make sure it's all washed off. Some people keep it on their body because it's highly flammable. If I go near a fire, I can catch my body fire. So you got to be very careful with these things. Sam, I love the smell of a bonfire. Have that as a chat line, Sam. If you go to a club, I love the smell of a bonfire. That'll get the sexual guy away from you very quickly, unless he likes that type of thing. You've seen some things on TLC. I don't know what TLC is. I don't know. Tender loving care is what TLC usually stands for, but I'm guessing TLC is not tender loving care. Fire smells nice. Yeah, I actually like the smell of petrol, but I don't want to go up in flames because that's what it's got in the aqueous cream. It even says highly flammable petroleum stuff. So like even when I've washed it off my body and I've got the hairdryer, my body starts lighting up red sometimes. It's not good. It can actually damage you and actually you can get severe burns from it and end up in hospital. So you got to be very, very careful. TLC is a show. All right, I don't know what that is then. I don't watch TV. 100% beef. Sam, that sounds like a bio on Twitter. I love the smell of a bonfire. I might change my Twitter bio. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I personally wouldn't do that. You'll probably get some fire starters. Prodigy, Firestarter. It's quite a good song, but yeah, even though I don't like fire. But yes, I do actually like the smell of petrol. The smell of bonfires is quite nice, but I don't want it near me. Like I don't want petrol all over. Well, I obviously do have petrol all over me when I put aqueous cream on my body. But there you go. And obviously there's not just oils. You can have different oils like coconut oil as well. I've started using coconut oil for my skin in certain parts of my body, and it's good for the skin. So it depends again what oil it is. And that's not a sexual thing. That's just me trying to take care of my skin better, and try not to have aqueous cream all over it. We didn't start the fire. I know that song. That's funny. Oh, I better read another story out before I forget. Right. Heart, where are we now? Right. Okay, this is Fiora's story. What is your view about sex? I haven't had sex, but I think I would, either to have children, to see what it's like, or to please my partner, but I don't have any innate desire to have it. Yeah, so there are asexuals, like I mentioned before, who will have sex in order to have kids, and some will not ever have it again. They just literally want it to have kids. there is someone I know who is heterosexual, and they got married to someone who they didn't know was asexual because the person was having sex with them before they got married. Then as soon as they had a kid, the person basically didn't want sex or didn't even like kissing and cuddling them. So the sexual person felt very upset about that. The sexual person is a friend of mine, by the way. It's someone I know quite well. So, you know, but I don't say who it is because that's not fair. And it's not someone that you'd know. Someone I knew I say I know them quite well. It's quite a long time ago that I knew them really well, but, you know, we were really good friends a long time ago. So, you know, they didn't know, and it actually did upset them because they won't even kiss and cuddle them anymore. But I did say, you know, like, if they think it's a prequel to sex, then that's quite typical asexual behavior, is they don't, you know, if they don't want sex, they don't want to do that anymore, you know. And some asexuals, they just don't, they're not into having sex or even kissing and cuddling anyway, you know. Yeah, that was quite difficult for them. But, you know, like this person said, you know, some people are curious to try it. And one of the questions I talk about in my Asexual Guide to Sex book is, if a sexual person, if an asexual had a relationship with a sexual person, you know, what would happen if the asexual was to try, you know, to say they want to try sex, but then they found out later they didn't want to do it ever again because it wasn't right for them? Is there any chance that relationship could last? And that's why that is a question given to all the asexuals in the Asexual Guide to Sex book. It's very, very interesting to read their answers. But usually, in my opinion, you know, it's very difficult, because usually a sexual person, once they've had sex one time with you, they'll be like, well, why can't you do it again? Because you've done it once before. So if you are in that position at all, and you do want to try it, you have to make it crystal clear it might be the one and only time you ever do it with them, because you just want to try it out of curiosity, you know. But a lot of the times the sex will be like, well, you've had it once with me, why not have it again, you know? So you've got to understand the consequences of that. Might mean that you do split up over it, or that your relationship gets very rocky because of it. The only way that you could possibly, you know, get around that is literally by saying, look, I'm asexual, have never had a desire or need or want for sex, but I'm curious, I want to try it, and I have to let you know that I might do it once, never ever again in my whole life, because I'm really not interested per se in it, but I'm curious, you know, and see how the person feels. The sexual person might be a type of person that can live without sex normally, but they might think, well, if you're going to do that once with me, then I'm going to want it more, if they're being honest with themselves and you. So just watch out for that, you know, and just know that if you do that once, they don't have to stay with you. I made the big mistake years ago in my life of thinking that any guy who had sex with me had to stay with me. Like, you're meant to be together if you have sex, because I'm very modern girl in lots of ways, but I was very old fashioned back then. I've been brought up, like don't have sex before marriage, which I didn't, because I had sex and didn't have the marriage. But it's kind of like, like, you make sure you get the person that you want to spend the rest of your life with, and then just basically be faithful to that person, which in theory is great, but in the modern world, that's not how a lot of people are. And also, you don't want to end up staying with someone who's wrong for you just because you have sex with them. If that person ends up not being right for you, you have to be willing to walk away, even though you shared your body with them. That's what really is very difficult for me to have in my mind. Like, if I had sex with someone ever again, I don't intend to, but I would then feel very upset and like really bad if they walked away. So if I don't have sex with them, I don't feel so bad. I'd feel bad, but not as bad, because I would feel like, I've still kept my own body to myself. I've still, not given that to that person. And I'd still feel like I've got a part of me that's not given to them, that's always been for me and kept for me. So that's kind of how I feel about it these days. But, you have to understand that if you do have sex with someone, you might not be with that person for the rest of your life. And I would not, even if I did choose to have sex again, which I'm not planning to ever, but if I did, I have to understand that the person who I do that with, would maybe not ever be with me in the future. My brain doesn't like that, my heart doesn't like that, my soul doesn't like that, and I don't want to do it anyway. So it's not going to happen. I don't see that ever happening. But, you know, you have to be prepared to walk away. And I stayed in relationships that were bad for me because of that. Because I kind of think when you give your body to someone, you shouldn't be going around giving it to other people, you know. But at the end of the day, it's better to walk away, even if you have given your body to someone in that way. This body's still yours. You've only kind of like been with them a short time, you know, or maybe it's a long time, but your body's still your own, regardless of whether you have sex or not. And you have to walk away if they're no good for you and they're bad for you, you know. Sam, bonfire, jacket potatoes with beans and bacon, loads when we were kids. I have that song in my head for ages now. My boyfriend and I are going to have our 1 year anniversary next month. Happy anniversary to my life. Congratulations on that. Sam, I have tried to do the whole sex thing with several of my partners, but never went through with it. Yeah, sex used to leave me feeling raw sometimes. Like sometimes it used to be okay, and the other times I used to cry, but I was crying feeling raw, not crying because I liked it. Liam, you never have to say anyone's name. You're a fair, caring person. Oh, thank you, Liam. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I don't say people's name. 100% beef. Yeah, the whole Christianity thing, being married is a whole other demon. My life, can't wait to leave the Jehovah's Witness cult. PSA, only you own your body. Yeah. Sam, my granddad won't speak to me as he is a witness and I am not hetero. Yeah, happy anniversary, my life. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You only own your body. But you know, like it's when you, in my feeling, if I give my body, like not give it as in it's it's not mine anymore, but in some ways it feels like that, you know. It feels like I'm renting it out. Not being paid for it. But you are, like, in the sense that, you know, like if the guy just leaves, it to me it's like I feel used, right? I personally feel used. If I have sex with a guy and then he leaves, I feel used. But that's my feeling, and I would have to change that in my mind, thinking, well, it was okay for a time and then it's not now. It's better to think, instead of that he used you, to actually think, well, I trusted him, I didn't do anything wrong, I thought he loved me, so I let him explore my body with me, and it didn't work out, so that was it. But I do think, you know, it's very important to still have a lot of self-respect with your own body, and to not just give the person sex just like that, you know. I've never had a one-night stand in my life. I never will do that. I don't, you know, believe in having sex just like that. Some people do. I don't. My life. Oh, Sam, hugs to you. You're officially my brother now. I have a family here that accepts you. Sam, I'll just be a sib as I'm agender, but thanks. Oh, yeah, you're agender. Exactly. Yeah. So, yeah. So, you know, I think sex is a very personal thing. You know, for me, it's something very, very, very personal, and it's something I don't plan on doing again, because I used to, like I said, sometimes I used to not mind it. It used to be okay, and other times I used to feel raw and start crying. I didn't really know why, but that's because I wasn't really enjoying it. You know, I was feeling raw, the word raw, like, do you know what I mean? Other times it's okay, you know, so it's kind of like strange. But I much prefer being sex free. I haven't had sex now since 2011. So this October will be my 9-year I can't even count. 9-year anniversary this October. I'm gonna have to have a no sex celebration party here in my flat. Yeah, I don't know when in October, because I didn't actually count the dates. I just know it was October 2011 when I last had sex. So yeah, 9 years this year, sex free, people, sex free. I'm so happy about that. I seriously really, really, really love not having sex. Like, I really do. Mum still thinks I'll suddenly be sexual and my asexuality would disappear. Does she know you're asexual now then, my life? Because I don't think she knew you were asexual before. Well, I presume you told her. Have you? I don't know why people aren't more happy for people who don't want sex. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, you know, it's good if we want to work with children, for example, because it's not like we're going to do stuff with the kids that we shouldn't be doing, or, you know what I mean? And working with vulnerable people and stuff. Do you know what I mean? She's known since I realised I was. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think more people should. She just doesn't know the grey part and envy part. Ah, right, okay. Well, at least she knows you're asexual, which is a good thing, you know. But there's one person in my book that I did speak about, whose story I recently finished, Nikki's. Now, Nikki's, I think it's Nikki. I've got her story here. I can't show you, obviously. Yeah, Nikki's story. But Nikki's in my Asexual Guide to Sex book is very sex positive. After reading her story, I actually felt really good about sex. So her story is very, very good for the book. Because there's different types of stories in the Asexual Guide to Sex, but hers is a very loving attitude. She's demisexual. Hers is very, very loving attitude towards sex. Very different to a lot of the other ones in the book. And when you read her story, I actually thought, sex seems quite nice from her point of view. It actually seems very loving, very caring, very beautiful thing. So, you know, each of the stories in the Asexual Guide to Sex book, they really move me. Can really feel the person's own feelings, I think, and emotions as I read it. Very incredible. Very incredible. Pan. Forgot to put the pan. Oh, grey A, yeah. So let's read someone else's. Oh, this is Darcy. Where is Darcy? Right, Darcy. Darcy's story. Sex doesn't bother me, but it makes me very uncomfortable when my body is sexualized or when I feel expected to have sex. I have had sex, but it didn't really feel like anything. If anything, I would describe it as boring. I feel mentally disconnected from my genitals. So yeah, it's very interesting because whereas I don't feel disconnected from my genitals because I do know that they get aroused involuntarily sometimes. This person, Darcy, in my book's the opposite of me. Liam. Oh, Liam, congrats on making it 9 years. I haven't properly come out to anyone in my family. Oh, they don't know that you're asexual. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm out to the world. Not did you notice? Oh, I love it. I love being out to the world. Sam, I gotta be reading this book with substantial tea breaks. Yeah, you've got to be reading the book. Yeah, but Nikki's story you won't mind. I don't think, even though she's sex favourable, I don't think you'll mind her story. Actually, I think you'll think hers is one of the best ones. Because it's very elegantly done. It's very good. It's good to have some different perspectives in the Asexual Guide to Sex. They're all different perspectives. It's very, very interesting. I can't wait to finish that book, but I've got other stuff I'm currently doing at the moment. But yeah, for any sex repulsed asexuals like Sam, the Asexual Guide to Sex book, they probably will need some breaks, especially after certain stories more than others. Even for me, one of the stories is pretty much full on. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's very hard for me, even because I'm personally sexually repulsive myself, and it's very hard for me to read one particular story. All the rest aren't too bad. I can pretty much hack them, and some are even fine. You know, some are good. So yeah, some are very interesting. It's very good. My life. I'm sex repulsed action wise, research wise. That's a different story. Yeah. Sam, I bet Zeus had a cup right now. Yeah, I mean, Sam, you're out to everyone as well because you're on my channel, remember? So you're kind of out to quite a few people as well because you've been on my channel as well, remember? That was very good, that was. So yeah, you're out to the world about being non-binary and ace. But yeah, it's you know, I do think that I do find it difficult. Sex personally, it's going to be very difficult because I haven't written all my part of the Asexual Guide to Sex book yet, and it's kind of like really weird when I have to think back to all my sexual experiences, what I liked about it, what I didn't like, because I'm going to try and be objective about sex in the book, like what I really didn't like and hated, what I thought was fine, what might have been like a nice experience for me, what was good about I probably wouldn't say the actual thing itself, but the other bits around it. But yeah, so it's going to be very interesting because I'm going to try and think what I liked, what I didn't like, what was good, not so good, not so good, not so good. No, but like Sam, all my social profiles state both. That's good. So so some people, I've heard this quite a lot with asexuals, that some people do feel mentally disconnected from their sexual, so for sexuals, from their genitals. So when they're having sex with a sexual person, they can feel like they're like an outsider, that they're not really the one having sex. Whereas with me personally, I felt everything. I was very much in the moment, but my mind did wander onto other things as well. Like my mind did go on to other things because it was a bit bored. Like it's not really the thing I was into, so it did go on to other things, but I was still very much in the moment, but my mind thinks about a ton of things anyway, no matter what I'm doing. A lot of the time it goes off on tangents all the time, so it's kind of like part of my personality as well. So yeah, I think we've had quite a good amount of people. I don't know if you want me to read one more. Shall I find one more? I haven't got one more prepared, but I think. Oh, Marnie's story. My view on sex now, I can live without it and prefer to. It really had no place in my life. I can and do have sex, but watch the clock and want to get it over with so I can get on with my day. I become anxious beforehand and would rather not. I can climax if I focus, but couldn't care less about it. So yeah, so that's very difficult, I think, if you're an asexual person who's having sex and they're just watching the clock to get it over with so they can get on with their day, and I can relate in one sense, but I never watched the clock, I didn't watch the clock. I was in the moment, but like with the guy that was good at sex, with the other people, like the first guy I was with, it was that quick. It's like, was that it? It's like, is that it? Okay, right, whatever. Do you know what I mean? It's not worth the hassle, the effort, if that's all it is. And then one guy really hurt because it's just too big, and the other people, yeah, I can't really remember. Well, I do remember, but yeah, I'd rather not. And then the guys with a long-term relationship, it's like I wasn't clock watching at all, but I used to like not do that for a while with him. And then sometimes I used to do it like 3 times in a row to kind of get it over and done with, because I knew we hadn't had sex for 2 or 3 months. So to give him his full pleasure, I was like, well, I'm risking being pregnant anyway, even though I was taking the pill. So it's like I may as well just do it 3 times in a row, because it kind of like the second time was less painful than the first usually. And I was like, I just want to get it all over and done with there and then. Do you know what I mean? Like get all the amount of sex he needs out of the way in one night or a few nights a month. And then that's it. I'm done. I can get on with the rest of my month without having to worry about it. Do you know what I mean? And think about it. So yeah. So that's kind of where I come from. And I just think it's, if you get anxious beforehand, a lot of the time it is painful. And for asexuals, we can get very anxious because it's something that we don't really want to do. Some of us, we're not really into. And so therefore, if for example, with a female, your bits tense up inside you, that's very difficult for a guy, for example, to penetrate when the woman's having like things swell up inside her because she's too anxious. Like that's a physical thing that can happen with a woman. If she's really, really anxious, her walls inside her can swell up. And so it's very difficult for sex to happen. And I really feel that people who are anxious and nervous and don't really want to have sex just shouldn't do it personally. But this woman is married. She's been married for 25 years to a sexual person. So this particular person that I just read out, you know, the one that's clock watching, Marnie, I've been married for 25 years to a sexual person. I was a sexual being for years, which is why this story is very interesting compared to the rest. But all of a sudden it was gone. No reason, no explanation. Had one day, gone the next. It took a major toll on our relationship for years until I found out I was asexual. Now we communicate on a much deeper level. We are taking it day by day, but it is working. Since he is such a sexual, manly man, I have agreed to participate once a week, but I do not want to. He understands it is only for him. And that's why I think it's very, very difficult, you know. It's like, you know, when someone doesn't want to do it and they don't really want to have sex and they just do it for their partner, they're not really into it and wanting it. I feel it's very, you know, I understand that person's married. I understand that, you know, they're doing it to please their husband, and they don't want to do it anymore like that. To me, it's kind of like hard for them not to, you know, like if I was in that situation, I'd feel like I was abusing my own body. Do you know what I mean? By carrying on doing something that I didn't really want to do just to please someone. I don't think you should ever do something to the point where you hate it or strongly dislike it and don't want to do it and get nervous, anxious and worried about it. And be so uncomfortable that, you know, you're just literally doing it to please them, you know. But, you know, it's difficult when you're married, you know. She's doing it to save the marriage. So I understand why she's doing it. But for me personally, and I think for some people, it could seem like you're abusing your own body, you know. By, you know, obviously if you want to do it, you don't mind doing it, there's no problem. But if you're doing it just, you know, like you want it to be over as quickly as possible and you're not getting anything out of it and you hate it, you know, like with the guys with who was good at sex, you know, I was getting some kissing and foreplay stuff out of it, and the whole experience wasn't bad, because he was good at doing that, you know. So the sex wasn't bad, I just wasn't really into it, you know, and I would rather be doing something else. But I never like did it and hated it. Do you know what I mean? I never did it against my will with the guy I was with for 8.5 years. In other ways, it was bad because, you know, there's different scenarios. But with him, you know, I never did it without it being consensual and without me being okay with it, you know. But I would rather have done other things, and I like just the kissing and the foreplay rather than the sex itself. But because he given me the kissing and foreplay, I'm like, oh, okay, now we do the sexing, because I just was used to doing that, you know. Yeah, so my life, I'm into cuddles and movies while eating pizza. Sam, cuddles, yes, they are the best. I only have physical contact with a partner, so no cuddle for quite a few years. Yeah, it'd be nice if Sam had someone to cuddle. I got to endure it. I would expect a partner to do something they don't. I wouldn't expect a partner to do something they genuinely, they don't genuinely want to do. I feel like every video is a proper PSA. What's PSA? I should know what PSA is, but I don't. Every video is a proper PSA. Is that a physical, sexual, something or other lesson? I don't know what it means. I don't know what PSA means. So if you want to enlighten me, my life. Public service announcement. Is that what it means? Public service announcement. Why would that? They're like informational videos, like don't do drugs, no means no, etc. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's it's important. Yeah. Public service announcement. I'm used to that being like the BBC or something. But it's true, you know, it's like I've been in situations where I've done things to please someone and it's not good, you know. But you know, all my sex was consensual. And the guy that I got bored with after 3 weeks, I just stopped being in a relationship with him. However, he was very hot looking aesthetically, but I couldn't be with him. He bored me to tears. It's like, is this all we're gonna do? have sex. It's just boring. I just can't be doing with it. Do you know what I mean? Sam, I don't watch the BBC. Laugh out loud. Well, I used to. I've done work experience at BBC Radio years ago, which had the newsroom next to it. But yeah, I haven't. Like I only see BBC if I go around my parents because I don't watch TV. I don't watch TV. I only watch movies on my Blu-ray player on my TV HDMI channel 1. So it goes straight onto my Blu-ray. It doesn't go onto TV. I haven't watched a TV. I haven't watched a TV since March, people, because that was the last time I went round to my parents. March the 19th was the last time I saw TV, and we're now in July the 19th we've gone into now. So I haven't watched the TV for all that time. Yeah, 19th. It was 19th of March. March, April, May, June, July. Oh, yes, months, baby, months. BBC has been a bit more LGBT plus inclusive. Yeah. I went for an audition. When was that? Was that last year with the BBC? And then found out what their because I used to be a radio presenter, a hospital radio presenter. I've done work experience for the BBC, work experience in commercial radio as well. I've spent a whole week at BBC Radio Devon, which is a BBC radio station which had Spotlight right next to it, which was a news thing. I've got a A-level in media studies. I used to want to be in the media all the time, which now I am, but in a different way. And so, yeah, when I went for the audition last year in my Ace Fibre Girl outfit, I didn't realise how restricted they are about what you can say and what you can't say. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I just wouldn't fit in there. You know what I'm like on this channel. I pretty much say everything I think. Most of the time, it's like I wouldn't last 2 minutes. Not nowadays. I'd say something on air, it'd be like, oh, you can't say that. It's not politically correct. I'd be like, oh, right, bang, I'm out. So that wouldn't have been any good anyway. So I'm like, yeah, I think you just do your YouTube show and other YouTube shows if you want, Sandra. Just don't bother with the restrictions. Sam, I don't watch TV, but Netflix a few times a week when I need to take a break. My life. Unfortunately, us aces haven't gotten the best rep on it. What, on BBC? Oh, I haven't. The BBC have done some interviews with asexuals. They did one with Robin, who used to have a show, and that was a romantic asexual guy. But that was a long time ago. They've done good mini clips of us aces, but show-wise, like films, no. Yeah. I don't, like one of the ways that I don't pay attention to sexualized stuff is I don't watch TV. If an asexual's watching this channel now and they really hate sex, then stop watching TV. Stop watching films with sex in them. Stop buying magazines. Stop buying newspapers. I don't buy magazines. I don't buy newspapers. I don't watch TV. I buy no sex movies. If you don't want sex in your life, you can get rid of sex in your life the majority of the time. Only when you go online and have to be amongst sexuals or work for sexuals, for example, in your job, or have to maybe really look something up for research purposes. That's the only time you actually need to, if you want to do that, but there's a lots of like people say, oh, that the society is highly sexualized, which it is, it's true, but you can get away from it. You don't have to watch it. You can condition your brain to stop watching this stuff. Like I used to be a soap addict. I don't watch any soaps anymore. It's all conditioning. It's bad habits you get into. You have to cut the habits. Stop it. It's wasting your life away. Stop it. So yeah, I tend to, like, today I've just been watching a dance movie. I keep watching the same dance movies over and over again so that I'm getting de-stressed, because obviously I was poorly recently. And I'm trying to make sure that I get into a very good state, relaxed state, that I'm not anxious and stressed. So I'm doing some work, then watching a movie, doing some work. And I've been off social media quite a bit today. I haven't been directly on Facebook. So, I'm taking time out for me this weekend. I've done some video editing, but I'm I'm very aware that I want to keep my aura and my body calm in a very calm state, so I keep well as much as possible, you know. Oh, bye my life, nice to see you. Oh, they said there's other networks that talk about asexuality pretty well, but then release an episode making us look like a joke. Oh, bless you. And most people always abandon us in films. I haven't really seen I've only seen asexual films on YouTube. See My Life, Take Care, and Happy Anniversary. Yeah, it's really, yeah. You know, I tend to not watch sex stuff. It's just like, you don't have to, you know. So although the world's highly sexualized, you can actually get away from it if you don't pay attention to it, and you know, and just be in your own little world, you know. Have your own little dance party going on. Obviously, like, there are, like, I like a lot of music videos that do have sexual stuff in them. So what I usually do is I just put that on in the background. Thanks for the thumbs up, by the way. And I just usually do my work over it. When I'm doing video editing, I can't because I need to listen, obviously. So yeah, I usually put that on the background and then put something over it, so I'm not actually seeing the half naked women on there, which I don't want to see. But yeah, anyway, I hope you found tonight's video insightful and helpful. Obviously, the Asexual Guide to Sex is different to the Asexual Perspective. So Asexual Perspective, if you want to get a copy, is down below in the description. And the Asexual Guide to Sex book is not out yet. It will definitely be out this year and published this year. Asexual Guide to Sex is specifically just focused all about those from those asexuals that have had sex before to asexuals that are thinking about trying it for the first time ever. So if you are an asexual who wants to try it or is curious to know more about it and kind of know the pros and cons to it, all that type of thing, and or maybe you're just curious to know what it felt like for other asexuals to have it and experience that, then the Asexual Guide to Sex book will be for you. It's very, very specific niche of asexuals that we're looking at. But also it'll be relevant if anyone's got a sexual partner, relatives, parents, teachers, social workers, counsellors. You know, just make sure when the book comes out, you tell anyone and everyone you can, because it's a book that could change the whole history of sexuality knowledge as we know it. You know, it's very, very important the book gets out into as many hands as possible, because literally no one will ever be able to deny ever again that asexuality is a true, real sexual orientation. Sam, I Got Asexual Perspectives, a great book, definitely a good read for anyone who wants to understand asexuality more. Helped me a great deal. Oh, thank you, Sam. Yeah, this is the book. Yeah, Sam's got this book. See, take Sam's word for it. It's a very good book. And Sam is sex repulsed, asexual, and definitely will be getting the next book. Oh, thank you, Sam. Yeah, I can't wait for that. I'm just doing the video editing at the moment of the asexual courses. When I've got that done, I'm going to be back in the Asexual Guide to Sex book. See, I can't wait to, I need to give my full attention to that book, really. You know, so I'm trying to just do the other stuff at the moment and get that done. So there's a lot still to do. Anyway, I'm gonna love it you and all and leave you there for tonight. I think I've said quite a lot. The Asexual Guide to Sex book, like I said, will go a lot more in detail about asexual perspectives on sex, but it will have every single possible question you'd want to be asked when you're first thinking about having sex or considering sex or curious about sex, that you could possibly want to know the answer to, which will probably give you a much better education than you ever had at school, college, or even university, and probably better than any book you've ever read before, if you're just talking about like the whole basis and foundation of sex in and of itself, rather than all the bells and whistles, if you know what I mean. Although it talks about some of that in there as well. So it is going to be such an insightful read. Anyway, before I go, I'd like to thank everyone for being in the stream. I want to say thank you to 100% Beef. Lots of love to you. I appreciate you being here. Megan dropped in earlier. Lots of love to you, Megan. My bestest friend ever, Sam. Lots of love to you. And My Life. Lots of love to you, who's here earlier. And Liam. Lots of love to you. Lots of love. And yeah, I think that's most people. I think that's everyone now, isn't it? I've gone through everyone. So yeah, thank you so much. It's lovely to see you, Sam. I really appreciate you being here. and and take care, and don't forget to subscribe if you're new to this channel. You haven't already hit the great subscribe button and hit that bell icon to get notified of every time I go live. Right now, post a new video, and don't forget give this video a thumbs up. Thanks for all the thumbs up already. I appreciate you. I love you, and thank you for being here. Till next time, see you soon. Bye. Bye. Bye, Sam. Bye, everyone.